Well, in other news, John C. Dvorak, one of my tech journalist heroes, has called for the repeal of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Of course, John Berlau here at the Competitive Enterprise Institute has been talking about repealing Sarbox since it was drafted into the law.
Pretty much.
For a long time.
And he's also been following some comments from members of Congress, including some congressional Democrats who have spoken, if not of the need to abolish the act entirely, but then at least to reform some of its thornier, pricklier, anti-competitive edges.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be before Sarbanes-Oxley, and Dvorak points this out in his piece, that it used to be that you would have an IPO and become a millionaire. And yeah, certainly there were a lot of flops come out of that, and the late 90s, the Web 1.0 rounds of internet investment. But it used to be entrepreneurs took big risks, like Steve Jobs, like Bill Gates, and they reaped their rewards. But now there's less incentive to even do anything like this, because the only chance of you making any money is selling out to some big firm, because your initial few years as a publicly owned company, you're just going to be bogged down with all those accounting fees.
Yeah, it just takes the process of a company going public and makes it far more complicated. And that's not an easy thing to do to begin with. I mean, it wasn't getting a successful IPO, especially one, say, listed on the New York Stock Exchange, was a big deal and a million piles of paperwork already. And now, with what Sarbanes-Oxley Section 404 calls internal controls, you're having a massive amount of greater bureaucracy and paperwork to deal with the pettiest things.
Yeah, like who has like the keys to various things in the office?
Yeah,
like actually something that they enforce.
Who has the list of computer passwords, which, you know, if you're operating a company, that's an important thing to keep track of, but it's not necessarily something that you need to file forms with the federal government with.
That's true. John C. Dvorak, Dvorak's calling it the Public Accountant and Auditors Protection Act of 2002. And we couldn't agree with him more here at CEI. What else is going on?
Well, let's see. It all comes back to Google over and over again. This is one, a less political story and more just a tech development. Sprint and Google are collaborating in a good way to roll out national WiMAX. So instead of going through, say, wireless Wi-Fi like we have now that has a range of, say, several hundred feet, the WiMAX will give you DSL-like speeds at a range of miles. It'll eventually be available on mobile devices, though when I think when they are first going to be rolling it out, you'll need to upgrade on PDAs and handheld wireless.
Yeah, certainly not a lot of devices are made WiMAX compatible. What happens after WiMAX? Do we have to go to Y Ultra?
Why?
Because it's already to the max, so I don't get why they would name it that, because it seems like
Y Supermax.
Yeah, okay, super maximum strength.
And then after that, it's Ultramax. And then,
well, this is interesting because now Google is partnering with Sprint and it's providing software services to Sprint as part of this deal.
mm-hmm.
But shouldn't Google be providing this to everybody? I mean, shouldn't they be open?
No.
Where's the openness, Google? I mean, come on. Now all of a sudden you have to pay to play? I mean, what sort of system is this? This is completely anti-egalitarian. This isn't fair, Google, making Sprint pay for your software. Next thing you know, they're going to be charging people to advertise. I mean,
it's crazy. You know,
yeah.
You can't trust them.
Thank God they're not doing this on the 700 megahertz spectrum, but spectrum that already exists, or WiMAX spectrum. Yeah, let's charge for that stuff.
Are you charging inconsistencies?
No, from Google, no. They are consistently in favor of themselves.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm calling shenanigans on that, but go ahead.
Well, in other corporate deal-making news, FedEx and Adobe have signed a little bit of agreement. If you download the new version of Adobe Reader,
and you should,
which I check for those updates like weekly. Adobe now has a little button somewhere within the program, clink, clink, click, okay, where you can shuttle your documents off to the FedEx Kinkos nearest you. This is great news. This is fine. I'm totally cool with it. I, of course, want to ship things to FedEx Kinkos all the time to be printed out because I love having paper in the office. But the real thing that's funny about this story is all these other print centers and like ma and pa copier stores are saying, why don't we get a print button? Where's our print button? Huh, FedEx? Huh, Adobe? What's the deal with that?
So they're envisioning, instead of a button that says send to FedEx Kinko's, a sort of like infinite drop-down menu with like the 10,000 independent copy shops in the world.
Fine print store near you. What happened to CEOs in this country, where all we can do is complain to newspapers when we strike a business deal? Why don't you go over to Adobe and say, hey, here's a few million to add a couple new buttons, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Maybe allposters.com. Yeah, maybe they get on there. Maybe button.net.
Who's got the button?
Know.
Yeah.
You know, why can't I get a campaign button straight from an Adobe PDF? That's what I want for a campaign for more buttons.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. But I mean, this is upsetting, and the idea that suddenly FedEx is going to have a monopoly on Adobe buttons. I can imagine the same charge being leveled against the iPhone. And the iPhone has Google Maps on there. It has YouTube. Where's its blip.tv button?
Mm-hmm.
Riddle me that, Google. Well, hey, I have this is a very important story. People are talking about this all the time. Daniel Inouye and Ted the Tube Stevens.
Our favorite senator.
Yeah, he's lovely. He's lovely. How could you not? A man with that much grasp on the internet and what it's all about. They've introduced, in conjunction, bipartisan effort. Stevens, of course, a Republican, Inouye, Democrat. And, of course, bipartisan efforts always result in the best bills, have suggested that we introduce filtering technology on the internet for the internet. But it's all in the name of protecting the kids.
Ah, yes, the children.
But one quote that I thought was amazing was parents cannot prevent their children from using the internet altogether.
They can't?
Yeah, which I thought was amazing because even without advanced filtering technology, I'm pretty sure that unplugging the computer and then telling your kid not to plug it back in can make that renders that computer basically useless. I've tried to use a computer without electricity. Difficult. Difficult. You can use it for crushing walnuts, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was good of you. It's very kind of like environmental of you to try that no electricity computing. But yeah, it's really slow.
Yeah, the zero carbon. It really takes your cycles down.
So we can see that. Do they have details there about what Senators Stevens and Inouye are filtering out?
Inouye?
Inouye, I think it's.
I thought it was Inouye.
No.
Sure is annoying me with this legislation. Basically, it's just to protect kids from pornography, from violence, from these things that they shouldn't be seeing, but things that adults among us might want to see. I mean, I know I'm all in favor of violence and the occasional nudity, but seriously, adults should be able to watch what they want to watch, and instituting this sort of like nationwide filtering and essentially censoring technology is a horrible mistake. I'd encourage anyone out there interested in keeping track of what the kiddies are watching. If you have kids, if you are a kid and you want your parents to be more concerned about you,
and they should be,
go check out Adam Thier's new book on the Progress and Freedom Foundation website. He has a huge set of all the different protection technologies that parents can use, all the methods, technologies available to you, not only for internet browsing, but for television and things like that. So check it out. Parents have more control than ever over what their kids see, and yet this is the time when we have Stevens and Mr. Inouye complaining about needing to have a nationwide filter. If we should be emulating anybody, it should be China. You know,
we're going to build our own great firewall.
That's it for this week.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's what's going on the internets now. So we'll see you next time on a series of tubes.
It's a series of tubes. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. I'm sorry. No, I'm not finished.